All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is another Tuesday in 2025, and that means that. Wait a minute. I got a strange, not a strange, I got a, we will call it a unique gift from my coworkers, and I need to kind of show that off here for a second. Give me two. Shut this light off. Uh-oh. What is this crazy guy doing? Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what this is. And therefore, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, www.welikesportspc.com proudly presents to you its podcast tag team champions of the world, the Cleat Geek, Mike Valentine, Gabriel, Babyface, Estrada. Wait, Esparza. I do it every time because of the WWE reference, but that's all right. He still loves me at least a little. And we are the 643 and out guys, and you're listening to the Sportz Truth. Gabriel Esparza, how you been, buddy?
Yes, I'm good, Michael. I wish my hat lit up as well.
I know, isn't that cool? Now, I got some. They're a little different, right? They're a little different, but I love them to death. I love my new hat. Hang on, let me get it to the very beginning, and you can kind of sort of see it. It's killing me that I've got to remember. There you go. We are live. Yeah, it's a big thing at my work. They love the podcast. They all get into it. They're all laughing right now. I guarantee it. I see comments. I'm sure most of them are from them. But gentlemen, I love my hat. All right, buddy. So we're going to talk about your Red Sox quite a bit. A lot of things have gone down today on your Red Sox. So I think I still had the thing for my other one. Let's see. Do I still have it? No. I thought I had the wrong thing on the bottom. Actually, I'm going to switch it over to this one anyway. Wow. Comments are already rolling in. So I will review the comments while everybody else does what they love to do and listen to the walk-up music.
20 seconds start now.
Is it low?
10 seconds remaining. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, there it is. There's that music in the background. Now, Gabriel, you'll have to help me here. Is it we good, we bad, we ugly, what?
There we go. We're good now.
We're good now, he says. All right, excellent. Hey, I appreciate all of you here with us. This is the Sportz Truth. This is myself, Mike Valentine, and over there is Gabriel Esparza. We are ready to bring you all kinds of baseball, all kinds of football, and we're going to start the show out today with the NBA. So in football, we're going to look at the changes that are going to be happening in the All-Star game, and there are a few. We'll talk about them, see if I like them, see if Gabriel likes them, see if you guys like them. We're going to be doing 3 pitchers that are starters that we would pick for the All-Star game and 3 relievers that we would pick for the All-Star game. And then we're going to talk about 2 real specific things, and we're going to dive deep into both of them. Shohei Ohtani pitching yesterday, and Rafael Devers getting traded on Sunday. That will lead us into NFL 4-down territory, which will be second. We'll look at 2 quarterbacks, and we'll see which one of them Gabriel and I think will have the most productive season. Then we're going to do something different for a change. We are going to buy 3-year NFL stock. And what I mean is we're going to buy stock today in an NFL team and then predict which one of them will have the best stock in 3 years. So we're going to get a 3-year return on our investment by picking the team. Then we're going to dive in and pick division winners now. And then lastly, we're going to go over and under. And Gabriel, I'll help you out here. I know I didn't put the 4 teams in there. We're going to go over and under 7.5. And I'll give you this. Here are the 4 teams that you can be thinking about it a little bit. They're going to be the Atlanta Falcons, the Dallas Cowboys, the Indianapolis Colts, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the MGM Sportsbook has those 4 teams at 7.5. Then lastly, we are going to move into the NBA. The playoffs are here, and we're going to talk about a few different things besides just the playoffs. How about LeBron James? How about Kevin Durant? How about, do the Thunder actually have a chance to win without Tyrese? And lastly, we're going to look at some of the events that we talk about and find out which one has actually got your interest peaked right now in the NBA as a whole. We have, and I haven't clicked on them yet, I know it, I see it, we have 11 comments already up on the board. I'm going to get over here and look and see what we got. All right, so we appreciate everyone who does this. JC has reposted the stream on his platform. We appreciate that, buddy. He even likes the hat, right? All right, we'll go down here. Canada losing the Stanley Cup. Mike becoming a generational announcer. The Red Sox pissing off fans. My birthday is near. Well, happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday. All right, what else we got? JC says I need the Spurs to trade for KD. We'll find out if that's what's going to happen. Then his birthday will be complete. Here we go. Some people I know very well. All right, we'll just let everybody else read that. And then, as if he's not enough, we got another one. Oh, everybody liking the hat. Everybody's liking what we're doing. Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, buddy, I can't wear the hat the entire time, but I love my hat. I really, really, really do. So I got to get back over and now we're gonna get so now we're gonna get like a cheering section for the hat because you know there's 1, there's 2,
Yep.
and there's 3. All right. So you know what? If you want to see more of the hat, put it up there in the comments and we'll treat you. Maybe we'll do a segment with the hat or something like that, right? Okay. All right. So I really do. I really love the gift. I certainly appreciate it for all of you wonderful people that I work with that decided to give me the hat. I do appreciate it. All right. We are well up over 20 people already, and we just started. I haven't even asked Mr. Espadida a question yet, and we're already gaining followers all over the place, which we certainly appreciate. Let's start with our MLB talk. I know that we were supposed to have a guest with us. He has not come up on the screen yet. If he does here in the middle of the show, then we'll go ahead and put him on. But we will start and do everything as by the notes. And we're going to start with MLB All-Star changes. Gabriel, there's a few here. So have you seen the uniforms yet? Have you got a chance to see them?
Yes.
All right. Do you like the new uniform? Let's start with a simple question. Yes or no? Do you like it?
I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not really a uniform guy anyway.
How about that?
Well, yeah, it's a little better, sure. I'm not a uniform guy much anyway. That part's very much secondary to me. But it's like, it's fine, I think, for what they're trying to do, I guess.
So what do you mean by it's a secondary thing for you?
If they were to bring back, throwback uniforms and have that be the exclusive uniform throughout all of sports, I'd be 1,000% on board with that. But I'm not too cut up with what fancy new logo or what new neon fluorescent lights they try to blind us with. I'm just that's not really a thing I pay too much attention to.
All right, all right. So you're worried about more on the field stuff than what you are what they're wearing on the field, right?
A little bit.
Right, right. Okay, so and that's one of the changes this year. I'd love to get your opinion on this because I think we might differ here. So this year, the players will be wearing the jerseys of their own teams for the All-Star game this year. Those jerseys that they just brought out, I believe, on Sunday, are not actually going to be the jerseys they wear. So they're going to wear those home run derby. They're going to wear those like pregame stuff like that. And then they're actually going to wear the jerseys road and home of their actual teams that they play for during the All-Star game. So my question to you, Gabriel, is would you rather see them do special All-Star uniforms for the All-Star game, or do you like the idea that now they're going to do their own team's uniforms?
Yeah, I like this a lot actually that they are having the home uniform for the game itself. It back in the day, that's what the NBA All-Star game did, and it was really cool, for me watching Tim Duncan in a Spurs jersey go up and down the All-Star game court. So I like that, and that's what they're trying to do is, connect with the fans a little more and give a little more direct representation for the different teams on the field. So I don't mind it. Me personally, I don't mind it at all. Nice hat.
I know. Don't you though? Don't you like it? It's a
Your hat's better than mine.
well, I mean, what is your hat? It's just kind of plain. Mine's kind of, I don't know, flashy.
It's the opposite of your hat.
It's the opposite of the. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. All right, here we go. Yeah. So we're doing all kinds of good stuff here. We got all kinds of people on here. So, do you like the homage that MLB is supposedly doing to the Braves? They're the ones hosting the All-Star game. I don't know if you really have looked at the uniform itself, but they're basically saying that they're paying homage to them with the capital A and then the lowercase a, depending on which part of the uniform that you're looking at. Do you like the fact that MLB is actually helping people out and paying homage to the team that's hosting the All-Star game, or would you rather see them do something that doesn't necessarily pay homage to the team?
No, I don't mind. I don't mind that. I actually like that aspect. I will say it looks to me like a lowercase a and L right there on the thing, front and center. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's odd. I think they can make it a very. I think it should just be capital. But that's just me. That'd be maybe the one thing I'll get worked up over. I don't understand why we have Al and L. AL capital A makes a whole lot of sense. But anyway, that aside, I don't mind that aspect.
But yeah, and that's because way back when Atlanta used to do the lowercase a, so they're trying to do some things back towards them. I'm doing everything on this end, and I'm sure there's a way that you can put that picture up here. In fact, I know there is because I've seen other people use it on this StreamYard method. One of these days, I'll figure out how to click a button or two and put some pictures up here with us. We'll get to that later, but sorry if those of you who are with us right at the moment haven't seen the uniform yet and don't really know what we're talking about. But see here, the Braves should have done a Hulk Hogan creative control, and here we go. Okay, he's going on the Hulk Hogan used to be like brother. That's what he's doing there. So, okay, it's a little, almost too clever there, brother. But okay, whatever. So here's the last question I've got as far as changes, and this is a change that I would like to see. And I'm going to pose the change to you, Gabriel, and see if you would like to see the change as well. The change that I would like to see is if you're a home run hitter, you're a home run hitter. And if you could add something to that home run derby, then by all means, add something to the home run derby. But the way MLB has it right now is you have to be part of the All-Star game in order to be in the home run derby. I personally would like to see that changed. What about you, Gabriel? Do you like the fact that you have to be in the All-Star game to be in the Derby, or would you rather see it change to where the best home run hitters should be in the home run derby?
Yeah, there's not a need, in my opinion, to have that rule be in place where you have to also be in the All-Star game to be in the home run derby. No one watching the home run derby cares if they're also playing on the field during the All-Star game. No one cares. You know what they care about? If Buddy can hit it 5,000 yards. That's all they care about. And then
Right.
if you're not a home run specialist and you are now participating in this, it could take a little something out of you. I would be a little more worried versus someone where all they do is power. All they do is go for that literal home run shot in this case. They're kind of used to that. But if it's someone who, where that's not necessarily their strength and now they're overdoing it because of this competition, I, I I don't see the reward factor. I don't think there's a need of that from the fans in terms of what they're demanding. So, not a good change, Michael. Not a good change.
Okay. Also, I kind of like JC here. Every once in a while, he uses that noggin out there in the picture with the cat and everything. Add a pitching challenge to the All Star game and fielding or running challenges, like make it. And I don't know why he has to say like make it. I don't know. Is he like a cheerleader or something here? And he's going like make it an All Star weekend. So, yeah, you know what? I'm with you, JC. I kind of like that. Maybe you could add some of those things and make it a little better. Make it the All Star Weekend all the way around. All right. So again, this is Mike Valentine, Gabriel Esparza over here to my right on the screen with us. We appreciate each and every one of you coming up here. You can put your comments on the comment screen. There's already been, I think, right at 20 or 21 already. So we are cranking right along with the comments, and we certainly appreciate you guys doing that with us. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Now we're going to do our starting pitchers and our relief pitchers for the All-Star game. So, Gabriel, let's start with the National League. Give me your 3 National League starters for the All-Star game.
Okay, we are going to go Kodai Senga, Paul Skeens, and I want to throw in Freddie Peralta.
Oh, you're going Freddie Peralta from the Brewers. I looked at Freddie pretty close,
Yeah.
actually, but we're only going to have one of those pitchers that both of us are going to agree on here. So once again, you're going Paul
All right.
Skeens, you're going the Kodai Singer from the Mets, and then Freddie Peralta from the Brewers. I like those. I
Yeah.
like those choices a lot. The one that I'm going to stick with is Paul Skeens. I mean, the poor guy. And then I feel sorry for 2 guys here. So I put Paul Skeens on the I feel sorry for you because of how crappy your team is list. So I'm going to give you the All-Star nod. And I'm going to do one more pitcher the same way. Mackenzie Gore, poor guy, has got the most strikeouts in the league. Has started 15 games, I believe, and has only won 2 because he plays for the Washington Nationals. And Paul Skeens, I believe, has only won 3. So
Yeah.
we know, we know, JC, we know Senga is hurt. Okay, but we can still vote him in, right? Because they deserve to be voted in, and then we just give them a substitution. So we're good with that. But yes, he is correct. Kodai Senga is currently on the injured list. So the other guy that I'm going to go with, and mainly because of his victories, I should have had everything pulled up here, and I neglected to do so. So the other guy I'm going to pick is Robbie Ray from the Giants, and that's mainly because of his wins, and he's also got a lot of strikeouts, and his ERA is really low. Plus, if you look at his earned runs, they're really low as far as comparative to the rest of the pitchers. So for me, it kind of came down to Robbie Ray. It also was Freddie Peralta was in there, and then I looked at Logan Webb too. Logan Webb didn't have quite the strikeouts, didn't give me the strikeout to walk ratio that the other guys do. So for that third spot, I picked Robbie Ray for my third. I picked Mackenzie Gore for the second, and I did pick Paul Skeens for the number one. I would give him the starting nod. Gabriel, who would you give the starting nod to?
Senga, and that. No, I'm kidding. That one's for you, Jordan. Probably Skeens.
Okay. All right. So let's stick with the National League for a minute, buddy. Give me
Sure.
3 relievers that you would do for the National League.
Now, my relievers, right, based on my first 3, or do you want them to be other names from what you also mentioned?
No, you tell me what your 3 relievers would be, sir. Any of those relievers?
Gotcha. Yeah, I think I'd probably go Peterson, then maybe a little Robbie Ray action. Thought you made a good case there. And let's include one other name. Let's go with Chris Sale. Not that Zach Wheeler wouldn't be in there, but right, he's had a good year.
All right. I'm clicking on some stuff here to get some numbers here really fast. So I'm sorry if you can see me typing and stuff on the screen, but I ended up using this computer in front of me instead of the one over to the side over here, because that's that's where the hat is perched at. So we can't be doing that. I can't be disturbing the hat there. So all right. So
no.
I kind of went more strictly relievers for that second.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm not upset at you, buddy. You're good. You're good. So as far as National League relievers, I went Edwin Diaz at number 2, mostly because of the only 15 hits in 28 innings. He does have 7 earned runs, but he's also only given up 2 home runs. And his strikeout to walk ratio is 12 walks to 42 strikeouts. So I put him there. A guy who I mean, he's on the team that I root for. So I didn't want to be a homer, and I needed to make sure that he was there. And man, when I really started looking at stats, a 0.84 whip, a 151 average against. He's got 9 walks to 36 strikeouts. He has given up 5 home runs, but I'm about to give away who it is. He pitches in Great American Ballpark, so I guess he's going to give up a few home runs. He does have 18 saves, and I would put Emilio Pagan at number 2. Like I say, once I really started looking at stats, man, Emilio has put up some really good stats this year for the Cincinnati Reds. Like I said, I'm a Cincinnati Red Arizona Diamondback guy, and I didn't even really notice his stats were that good, but they really are. And then the top guy, even though he blew a lead the other day to the Diamondbacks and had a complete meltdown, which is why his ERA is at 3.23. I got to give it to Suarez of the Padres. He's got the most saves at 23. I'm sorry, 21. So he's got 1 out of 23. He's only pitched in 30 2/3 innings, but he does have 11 earned runs. Again, a lot of that stems from the other night against the Diamondbacks, where he gave up, I believe, 5 runs in the 9th. And his walk to strikeout ratio is still really good at 8-33. So those were my relievers on that side of the board. We got a few people chiming in here. All right, Shelby Miller has also been very good as far as that part goes. And Emilio, he needs help, so the Reds should trade for arms. Okay, JC, if you look, man, they've got one of the best pitching staffs in the National League. But you're good, buddy. You're good. So we've done the National League. Gabriel, let's go over to the American League. Tell me your 3 American League starters, and I'm banking that we're going to get at least 2 of the 3 the same, because a couple of these guys have really dominated the American League this year.
Well,
are you frozen?
Yes, here I am.
Okay.
Yeah, I was for a half second, but we're good now.
Yeah.
All right. We're gonna maybe shock you then, okay? We'll go Hunter Brown, okay? We'll go Max Fried, and then we'll go. Oh,
Yeah. you're gonna shock me, I gotta wear the hat. So come on, give it to me.
Yeah, yeah, my fault, my fault. I know how much you love the Astros. That's why we have to put them in there. We'll go
Mm,
Max Fried then. Yeah, and how do you not go Garrett Crochet? I mean, what a man.
I'm thinking that you're a little biased because of where he pitches.
Well, that may have something to do with something. Sure.
That may have something to do with it. Well, you know what? If you're biased because of where he pitches, then so am I. Because I am going to put Crochet. He's my second guy. And as much as I can't stand the Yankees, when I was looking at numbers, Carlos Rodon has got to be in there. He is my third starter. Garrett Crochet would be second, and then Tarek Skubal would be. I mean, it's hands down. There's nobody else that has been as dominant. In fact, I would pick him over Paul Skeens. If I was putting my feet to the fire and said you've got to pick one of the one guy who has been the best starter all year long, Scuba would be my guy. So let's go a little bit the same way. I actually have an honorable mention here that I will mention, and then I'll let you put your three guys up here. Jeff Hoffman for me would be the honorable mention. I really like what he's done this year, but I couldn't find a place for him if I was going three starters and three relievers. So he's going to be my honorable mention, Gabriel. Who are your three relievers going to be for the American League?
All right. We'll stick with the assignment this time a bit more.
All right.
Let's go Carlos Estevez. We'll go Kyle Finnegan. I don't mind him. And then I think you have to go Aroldis Chapman to round that out, right?
Oh, okay. So it's kind of funny here, right? So we're actually going to get two of these three right here. So yes, and it's not because of the Boston Red Sox thing, man. One of my favorite guys ever. I got to see him in a Reds uniform as Aroldis Chapman. He is my guy, man. I love Chapman. So I got to put him in there. And it's not so much his stuff. I just love to watch him pitch. He's one of those guys that stands on the mound, and after he throws the ball right underneath your chin at 102, he just stares in at you like, yeah, what? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to charge your mound? Go ahead. Come on. I mean, I just love it when he pitches. So he's the guy that I love to watch pitch. And then, as you said, Carlos Estevez as well. Fantastic job for the Royals. Excuse me, for the Royals this year. That team is a little underachieving, but he is not. So he has done really well for them. And then the guy that you didn't mention, a little surprising that you didn't mention, or at least I don't think you did. There may have been a couple of seconds there where you were frozen in time, and maybe your audio was also frozen. But I would put Josh Hader at number one. As much as I despise the Astros, and I'm watching the. If you get a chance, buddy, have you by the way, have you watched the Clubhouse thing on the Boston Red Sox that Netflix has out? No. You're a Red Sox guy. You need to watch that show because we need to talk about it on here a little bit. I've been watching it.
All right.
Number 6, and there is a spot there in that episode where they focus on Alex Cora and his dealings with the Astros way back when, and he talks about it some. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I'll for you to watch the show, and then we'll talk about it on here. So, didn't he say the Nats? I don't know. So yes, great things there as far as starting pitchers and relief pitchers go. Now you will notice on the ballot, the fans don't get to choose the pitchers, which I found a little bit awkward. A little bit. I mean, I don't know. Does that mean that the players get to? Does that mean that the coaches get to? And I really couldn't find anywhere that said anything. So I'll continue to research that, and we'll talk about it a little bit next week when we jump into the All-Star game a little deeper. So the All-Star ballots are only position players this year, which I found a little, I don't want to say strange, but I don't know. Maybe they're doing something different I don't know about, or something such as. But I tell you what we've got to do is we have got to talk about the two big things that happened in Major League Baseball over the weekend. and of course, one of them being yesterday and one of them being on Sunday. Let's talk about the one that's a little bit more fresh in our minds. Let's talk about yesterday and Shohei Ohtani on the mound, right? So let me pull that up here. There we go. Shohei from the mound. Now, we know what he can do from the batter's box. By the way, a shameless plug. If you haven't gone to our YouTube channel, we've got some specials on there called Thinking Outside the Batter's Box. You guys are very welcome to go to our YouTube channel and get all of the information on that. There are little snippets. We're trying, I don't know. I like to hear myself talk, and it's pretty rough for me to keep it under 5 minutes, but I'm trying my best, and I'm failing at most of them. But we're trying to keep it as short as we can and still talk about a subject. I've already got both things that I know are lined up. I'm gonna talk about a person that retrieves bats, and I'm going to talk about a protest, a subtle protest from a Dodgers pitcher this week on thinking outside the batter's box. So a little tease for both of those things that I'm working on for those two shows. So we're going to talk about Shohei from the mound here real quick. We got a bunch of different people. Yeah, I am old. That's probably why I look old. That's all right. And then here, I'm not sure where that came from. And maybe I should start reading these comments a little more before I just click and say yes. JC gives us a little bit of Ohtani stuff here. He pitched 1 inning, a run, no strikeouts, and yes, nearly got burnt by the Padres. We will certainly talk about all of that stuff. So Ohtani only threw 28 pitches. He kind of looked gassed at the end of 28 pitches. So I'm going to just ask Gabriel. We talked about this a little bit a few weeks ago. Is this the best decision long term, and is this the best decision short term for the Los Angeles Dodgers?
Yeah, in terms of what they have to do, which is they have Ohtani, and he's the guy, and he wants to pitch. And they made this promise, apparently, based on reports, that yes, you can bat and pitch. Yes, welcome to LA. Oh wait, you've already been in LA. Well, welcome to the real LA in the Dodgers. Yes, you can do both. So because of that, they've kind of pigeonholed themselves. And so by allowing him to start the game as a pitcher, I think that allows you to marry it in the best way possible versus some of the other scenarios that we've discussed in the past. So I think we kind of saw that you can let him pitch early, and that he's very much limited in that regard as of right now still. I would say, and this is just a 1-game sample size granted, but I would say it looks to me like they are still rushing him back to the mound too early. And I had told you I'd rather he doesn't pitch at all for 2025, and then let's go full swing in 2026. And I from what I saw, that truthfully would have been the best course of action.
But I also understand where the Dodgers are coming from here, because they have, I don't know if you know this, they have 16 pitchers, 16 on the IL right now. So they are desperate. Even if they get 1 or 2 decent innings from Shohei every 5 days, I think that's better. So I get it, and I understand where they're coming from. As JC said, it just shows how desperate they are. But I'm gonna give you a quote from Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts said, "You've got to hear the player and trust the player," when he was referring to Shohei Ohtani. So doesn't that just mean that Shohei's calling the shots? I mean, that's what that sounds like to me. It sounds like a diplomatic statement from a coach saying, we're letting our $700 million superstar do and say whatever he wants.
Well, right. And because it really shouldn't be the players saying that they're good. More times than not, they're going to say that they're good, unless it really is something where they cannot throw. And that obviously isn't the case with Otani. But what the doctor slash medical and then strength and pitching coach, what that team would then do is say, yeah, you're not really in a position to to pitch quite yet in a game. You're getting there, you know, let's wrap up your BP a little bit, but yeah, I don't like it too much, but hey, I don't think you're wrong in reading into it what you have been reading into it, Michael. I really don't.
So I also don't agree with the Dodgers having him bat leadoff. That was I couldn't believe they did it. So he got done pitching in the inning. He didn't even go into the dugout. If you watch the television close enough, he literally stood on the top step, changed everything he needed, grabbed a bat, put batting gloves on, and everything else, and then went right out there and hit. You got a guy who's recovering from surgery, who you know is well, at least say fragile, and then
Right.
you're going to have him pitch an inning and then turn right around and bat. I don't know. I didn't understand it. Do you think that was the
It's
best decision for the
mismanagement.
Dodgers?
Oh yeah, sorry. I got excited, Michael. Yeah, it's
You're fine, sir.
mismanagement. It's mismanagement, and I hear thank you, and I see Jordan's comment here, but at the same time, this is a player who you you've paid a lot of money to be with the franchise as a two-way player for a long time. So just because everyone else is dropping like flies, I understand that maybe you feel the need to rush Otani back, but for me now, if you're going to do if you're going to do this, at least delay it, right? There isn't an immediate need to have him return right now in June. I don't see a good argument for that versus pulling calling up someone else. And then like you said, not even getting maybe he needs a drink of water. Maybe he wants a hot dog. Something I don't know. Sunflower seed. I don't know if he does sunflower seeds. But
Yeah,
but no, he has
Flaming
to then
Hot.
go from the mound right into the well, maybe.
Maybe.
It just doesn't make sense to me, Michael.
Yeah, it didn't make sense to me either. In fact, I was really kind of shocked when I saw it on television. I don't know. I mean, they're still, they're winning the division, right? And I do understand the argument that they can add a pitcher without adding another person, um, because he can be the two-way player and he doesn't count against them. Okay, I read that everywhere, and everybody's like, "Oh, well, that's why they're doing it, and that's so smart," and blah blah blah. I don't really think it was that smart. Here was this part too. So I've got to bring up ticket prices here. And I have to ask you if you would pay these prices.
Okay.
The lowest ticket price to get into the stadium went from $51, which is what their usual lowest ticket price is. First of all, I'm not even sure if I'd pay $51 to go to a game, but that's neither here nor there for me. I mean, I just paid $69 and I got every game for the rest of the year on my television, and I could sit in the sofa and not have to pay $20 for a beer when I do so. So, I think that's the better bargain there. But their ticket prices for the lowest ticket possible went from $51 to $140. So, would you pay $140 to go watch Shohei Ohtani pitch in Dodger Stadium for the first time?
No, because that's just the ability for you to stand outside the stadium to inside the stadium. What's the cost to get there, to park, and all the other
Mhm.
baloney? That's too much. I'm with you. That's why I don't get worked up about ticket prices, and not to say more people need to be like me, but more people should follow the lead of you and I, Michael. Stay at home, watch the game, send a statement to the MLB and to all the leagues that way. When they're forced to see all these empty stadiums, then the ticket prices will go down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't do that. Now, the here's the average ticket price. just so you know, the average ticket price went up 71% for the game on Monday where Shohei was pitching. So the average ticket price to get in the Dodger Stadium, again, just the average, $192 per ticket, which whew, that's too steep for me. So not doing it. I don't know what that means. I take it that's a I don't know something that you understand. So yeah, our third party ticket app. Yeah. Okay. And then he's mentioning somebody else on these comments, and we're not gonna put that stuff up there. So yeah. All right. Okay, and I got you. I saw your comments, sir. So no problem at all. All right, so we said we were going to do two different baseball things from the weekend. The first one was the Shohei Ohtani pitch for 28 pitches, 1 inning for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He is back, all those kinds of things. Now we've got to talk about this, Mr. Red Sox fan, Mr. Diehard, on the Rafael Devers trade. So I'm going to start a little slow and a little smooth with you here, and then we're going to kind of build up with these questions, all right? So here we go. Was Devers the face of the franchise? And if so, now that he's gone, who's the new face of the Boston Red Sox?
Oh. I won't say he was quite the face. We are in the Roman Empire right now. I don't know if you know that, but yes, the times of the Romans are back in Fenway. So he's as the top prospect in baseball, he's probably one of them. Then we have Christian Campbell. I would say between the three of them, they would be collectively the face of the Boston Red Sox. And so, 1/3 of being the face of a franchise, that's not too bad either, right? So we lost a third of the face, and then I guess I answered part two of your question in my initial part of that's who we have going forward.
So what were the three people that you were saying were the trifecta, basically the trifecta face of the Boston Red Sox?
Yes. I like saying the Roman Empire, because that's what we've returned to. That an homage to the ancient times. Him and Christian Campbell.
Okay. What about where's Jared Duran fit in all this?
No, he's definitely up there. Just for me, like the Boston has a lot of maybe not a lot. Boston has a good core, a good nucleus, and some players are definitely getting up there. But if I had to say like who's the face of franchise, I would put Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell above Jared Duran. Just me personally. But Duran would certainly not be that far off where it's like, well, no, you can't include him.
Okay. I think Duran is outspoken. I think Cassis is kind of, I don't want to say he's weird, but he's different, right? And if you watch the show on Netflix, it really kind of shows their sides. So I think maybe I'm a little more biased to your team because I have seen the show and you have not. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting moving forward because on most teams, I think you can only have one face. It's not like the infield or the outfield or whatever it's going to be. So I think it will just
right.
Yeah, so I think it'll be interesting to see who that person is going to be. Here's another question for you: is the Red Sox lineup good enough without Devers to make a postseason run?
I think so. And it's a little bit of a shock to the system in terms of how it all went down and everything. But we'll get into what the Red Sox got back in return for a moment. I think that will certainly help. And then the rest of this team is pretty good. What's nice about this season is that Devers was playing DH. So the fielding's not going to take a step back at all. And
Mhm.
and now the person who's playing DH, Christian Campbell, if and when the need arises where there's someone that's needed in the infield or in the outfield, we now know that our DH can slot over very readily to a fielding position without any hassle, without any trouble. So that's one of the nice things about this, about all of this, is I don't have to worry anymore about my DH maybe or maybe not, putting on the glove. I will say it is odd in terms of how this all unfolded, because I believe it had to have been before the second Yankee game. The broadcast was discussing how Devers was fielding balls right by third base in that rotation during warmups. And so
Mhm.
it made me think, oh good, they've made amends. They're gonna figure out something, and everyone's gonna be happy, things are gonna go normal. And then the exact opposite apparently happened. So it was very odd, because why, if you have the feeling that you're gonna be trading him soon, why would that be the case? And then the broadcast made a semi big deal about it, and then we get the shell shocking news that comes. It was just a whirlwind of emotions for me, Michael, this past weekend, and I'm not sure I fully recovered.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. When I first read it, I put something up pretty quick on our X account at the 643 and out pod. When I read it, I almost didn't do it. I paused for a couple seconds, like, okay, I'm going to see if somebody else jumps on this too. It was, it was kind of like when Luca got traded, right? And we started to see things trickle out, and we were like, really? Did he really get? Is this somebody hacking somebody's account? Is this? And I kind of felt the same way, in a way. But
Yep. Mhm.
we'll discuss it here as we go forward, as far as like who we think won the trade and all that. That'll be the final question here. But let me ask you. Let me go to the Giants standpoint with you for just a second, and let me ask you who, or excuse me, where does Devers play mainly in San Francisco? And I can't wait to hear this answer because
Apparently anywhere.
right.
Apparently anywhere. It doesn't matter, Michael. He can play the popcorn machine guy. He can be the starting pitcher at wherever they need him, Michael. That's the answer.
So when I didn't see any of the games. Our buddy here is saying that there was a lack of hustle in those Yankee games. Was there a lack of hustle in those Yankee games? Because these comments are flying fast and furious, and I'm trying to keep up with everything here. So, what do you think about that? Was there a
wasn't a
lack of
lack of
hustle there, and
hustle.
kind of was that the lack?
No, there wasn't a lack of hustle in my mind, because he was at a full sprint and then pulled up very quickly. So if it was a lack of hustle, why would you exert all that energy to be at a full sprint just to slow down? That takes way more energy than just not hustling. So he was dealing with a hamstring or something. That's just how I read it. It doesn't make sense to me, right? Why would you go full force for halfway to the base and then say, "Oh, right, I'm trying to be a lazy POS. Now I'm gonna slow down." That just doesn't make sense in my mind.
Okay. Like I said, I didn't watch the game. I knew you did. That's why I was trying to get your perspective on the game itself. But I also think it's a little strange. And are you kind of upset that the Giants have said it and Devers has kind of sort of said it, but not come right out and said it, that basically he'll play wherever the Giants need him to?
Oh no, that part makes me so. And now when we get to who's to blame for this, you have to put a lot of the blame on the Red Sox, that you ever got to this. Somehow there was some miscommunication where Devers felt that he should have been at third base, and then he didn't like being shifted to DH, and then he didn't like having to potentially reshift, as if players don't have to shift all the time.
Mhm.
Devil's advocate for him, in his defense, he was getting into a rhythm, and he was saying, "Hey, I'm in a rhythm right now. Let's not mess this up." Right? So devil's advocate for him. But either way, very much annoying for my part that he's now going to the Giants basically saying, "Yeah, I'll play anywhere, everywhere. Doesn't matter." Like, well, that's what started this whole fiasco in the first place. That's what led us to this situation where we're now trading you away, and half of Bo Sox Nation wants to find a different team and jump ship. That is the entire thing that this whole saga has been about. You potentially having to switch positions, and so it's very frustrating. Very frustrating, Michael.
Yeah, I'm getting y'all fired up over here, and I'm not even asking you any questions. I'm not poking the bear or nothing yet. I mean, that's coming here at the end. So, man, you may blow a gasket here before it's all said and done. So here's an intriguing question for you, and this is going to be a nice big broad question, and then I'm gonna pick this apart here. Okay, so who won the trade today, and who will win the trade in the future?
Ooh, this is a question you could ask me now and a half hour from now, and then an hour after then, and I might have three different answers. That's a really good question. Right now, if I'm going to pick who won the trade, I mean, I have to say the Giants won the trade right now.
Okay.
Listen, I'm already wanting to talk myself into saying the Red Sox won now and then they'll lose later. But the Giants, they're trying to keep up with the Dodgers, and for all the noise around Rafael Devers, right, being traded does humble you to an extent, or at the very least, you know that you can't keep up the same antics that you did at the last place. So in theory, they're going to get the best version of Devers without the drama, and they get someone who's producing. It was going to be fun for me to say Rafael Devers All-Star 2025 All-Star with the Boston Red Sox. That was going to be fun for me to say, but I won't be able to now. But that's to say he's producing. He's doing well right now. So we'll see if that ends up being enough, and if the Dodgers are slumping at the right time for the Giants to then be able to catch up to them. We'll see if that's what happens. The Red Sox have a couple other issues, but we'll get to that in a moment when we discuss some of the other aspects of the trade.
Okay. So who wins now and who wins later? I'm going to defend your Red Sox because I love this trade. A lot of people think I'm nuts, but I love this. This is not like it's the first time people thought I was crazy, so it's not a big deal, right? I mean, if you need to know if people think I'm crazy or not, just there you go, right? That's all you need to see, right? So if I'm the Boston Red Sox, well, I tell you what, let's take it to where if I'm the boss at work, right? And so, I'm not in like some big, huge power position to work, but I do oversee some people, right? And I was talking to some people about this today. So if I tell one of my people that I'm in charge of, and I say, you're going to work this position, you're going to work this post for the day, and they look at me and go, no, I'm not, there's going to be some repercussions for that. I'm going to say, yes, you are. And then we're going to, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not. All right. Well, then, go home, or, here's a formal write-up for you, or, I'm going to punish you somehow. But yet Rafael Devers is like, they said, you're not going to play third base. We went out and spent a ton of money on a third baseman. You're now going to be the DH. I don't want to be the DH. I don't really care what you want. I'm telling you, I'm paying you a crap ton of money that ends in millions. You're going to play where I tell you to play. And if you don't, then you can get out. And I really think that's what this basically came down to. So their first baseman gets hurt. It's not like the Red Sox hurt him on purpose. And then they asked, hey, can you play first base for us? And he basically, no, you didn't want me to play third. I don't want to play first. This is what I want to do. And now you've got, this is why I wanted to bring it up earlier with Shohei. you seem to have Shohei calling the shots in LA. And I'm wondering how long it's going to take for the Dodgers to get fed up with that, especially if this experiment does not work. Let's take this for a second. Let's say Shohei Ohtani ends the season with a 6 ERA and a record of like 3 wins and 8 or 9 losses, and they're going to be like, okay, they're all going to look at each other and be like, wow, we let Shohei tell us what he was going to do when we should have told Shohei what to do. And it's the same way here in Boston. Rafi Devers thought he was in control enough, and his agent, I believe, thought that he was in control enough where he can tell the Boston Red Sox what to do. And Boston said, no, we're not going to do that. And they trade him away. In my mind, it's almost like addition by subtraction. If I've got a guy who is the supposed to be the leader of the team, right? The leader of the pack. And I'm telling him, okay, I want you to take these young kids underneath your wing. I mean, I'm giving you all this money. This is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to act. And he says, nope, I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that. That's not me. Then I'm getting rid of him too. And I got 3 players and a throw in for him.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the biggest thing that they got was they got out from underneath that contract. So now I'm not paying you. And this is the part where the reason why I phrased the question this way, Gabe, is they can win this trade later. I can't say the Red Sox have won this trade right now because he is a really good hitter and he's going to take away a lot from that team. But if they reinvest that money that they were going to pay him and some other players, and like you're saying, it's not like the Red Sox don't have holes in their team. And they go out and they fill those holes using that money, then Boston has won this trade later, but maybe not right this minute. What do you think about them winning the trade later and possibly what they have to do? You mentioned it earlier. You guys have got some holes. What holes do you need to fill? What do you need to add to your team to say, okay, we won this trade, but it just took us a year or two?
I definitely didn't mind that we added some arms. I thought that was something that was needed. Certainly, I don't think any team in baseball will be lacking the desire to add more arms to their staff. That's just how the sport is, and you don't want to be beholden to, what Garrett Crochet's been awesome. He can't go out there every game, so I didn't mind that aspect at all. In terms of what Boston needs to shore up, it's the errors that have been killing us, and it's been oddity after oddity, really bizarre stuff that have resulted in losses. But the offense as a whole has actually been clicking, and that's even if you set aside the aspect of Rafael Devers. So that's why I'm not too worried about there. But I would focus in terms of holes, areas there, and then we'll see. I don't mind what you're saying at all in terms of how they win in the future. By all accounts, what appears to have happened is Rafael Devers more or less asked out or demanded to be out, and certainly through his actions, he demanded to that he doesn't want to be actually a part of the team. That part's beyond dispute. But another thing that's come up since the trade is that he's apparently upset about the role Christian Campbell had and that he was approached and what role he could have. But kind of like what you're saying, that shows a player who, by all means, by all accounts, Rafael Devers, great player, but he hasn't earned the stripes where he can now be dictating stuff. That just can't be the case. But he feels that that's his role, and so his now, certainly indirectly, but from what reports suggest, also very much directly. But his saying that he wants out, that he no longer wants to be with the team, what Boston did was the smart thing is, great, you don't want to be here? Yeah, we'll accept we'll accept whatever phone calls we get. Highest bidder, you're out of here. That's what a team has to do, because as soon as it becomes known that a player wants out, that's when their stock is at the highest. It can only go down from there. So yeah, this is ultimately then, because of the Red Sox overall mismanagement of the whole situation and them not nipping this in the butt sooner, they've now forced this, and they've made the best of this terrible situation. And could it end up paying off long term? I think you make a really good case for that, Michael.
So I want to give Rafael Devers his due. I saw this on some different things that I was researching. So now that Rafael Devers is a San Francisco Giant, he leads the team in the following categories. As soon as he becomes a San Francisco Giant, which he already has. So he has more home runs than anybody on the team at 15. He has more doubles on anybody on the team, 18. He has more RBIs on anybody on the team, 58. He has a better on-base percentage than anyone on the Giants at 401. He has a better slugging percentage than anyone on the Giants, 504. He has a better on-base plus slugging percentage than anybody on the Giants at 905. And he has a better weighted runs created plus, 145. 100 is the average. So he beats the Giants in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 categories. And he hasn't even swung a bat for him yet. So that's part's interesting. And then for those of you who are in the Boston spot, right, and there's a lot of Boston fans out there who are upset right now at this. I think you'll like this trade in the long term. But here's this too. Gabriel, can you answer this question for me? You may or may not be able to. What team in Major League Baseball has won the most World Series in the last 25 years?
We have Bo Sox.
Yes, the Boston Red Sox have. So when you're saying, oh, they don't know what they're doing, and they traded Mookie, and now they're trading Devers, and now, well, they kind of sort of know at least something of what they're doing, right? They have won the most World Series out of any team in the last 25 years. All right, lastly, I want to go over these people that they got in the trade. So they got Jordan Hicks. I really did some research on these guys. So let's see here. Let me give a couple of Jordan's messages here. All right, there we go there. And let's do the second one. We'll let you guys read that one here as I go over some of these numbers. So Jordan Hicks has a -1 WAR, which is wins above replacement. He has a 1-5 record, and he has a 6.47 ERA currently. All right, he was supposed to be there. They got him, and they're like, oh, we're going to stretch him out, and we're going to make him a starter. And that didn't work. And if you watch the Boston Red Sox press conference, they said he's one of the best relievers in the game. So it sounds like Boston is going to leave Jordan Hicks and put him back in the bullpen where I would say he belongs. Now, 48.2 innings. He's only given up 3 home runs, and his walk to strikeout ratio is 20-43. His home run percentage, the average home run percentage is, let's see, the average is 3.1. His is only 1.4. And the average ground ball rate in baseball is 42.5%. And Jordan Hicks's is 58%. So he doesn't give up home runs, and he does do a lot of ground balls. I'm not sure if that's good or bad for Boston, knowing how many errors they've got this year.
Oh, wait, that's bad for us.
Right? But that's what you want in a reliever, is you don't want a guy that comes in the 8th or the 9th inning and gives up a ton of home runs. So you'd rather have the ground balls. You just hope that the defense behind him gets better. The other person that they picked up in this, besides the number 1 pick from last year, was Kyle Harrison. He's a 23-year-old left-hander. He's got a 4.56 ERA, and his K to walk is 25 Ks to only 9 walks this season. So he's a little bit more of a project, I think. but I like what the Red Sox got out of this trade, and I really think that it was one of these addition by subtraction type of trades. So personally, I
Hmm.
like this trade. If I'm Boston, I make this trade every single day. And I know a lot of your fans and a lot of people in Boston are ready to just dump a bunch of tea into the harbor again. But uh, I think yeah, that took you a minute, didn't it? I got to do the history thing there for a second. I'm sorry. I know I'm old, but um, I think in the long run, I do. I think in the long run, Boston wins this trade. And just so everybody knows as well, if you hadn't seen, Boston has such a good pitching prosperity right now that they took Harrison and put him in the minor leagues. So he's not even on their starting
Hmm.
staff right at the moment. He's going to pitch in AAA for a little bit. It looks like. So that kind of tells you the story of how good and how deep their pitching depth is. So I'm going to kind of wrap that up as far as the Devers trade goes. But you're the Boston guy,
Hmm.
sir. So I'll let you wrap it up. You tell me who wins today, who wins in the future.
Yeah, yeah, for sure in the future. And in terms of there were two buyers for Devers. The one team, I forget which, they wanted Boston to still pay part of his contract. So what should that tell you? How gigantically enormous that contract was. And
Mm-hmm.
Boston ended up declining that option. But right, kind of like what you said, we have that money off our books. By we I mean Boston. And then more important, just this cloud isn't in the locker room anymore. A lot of people are saying how, the team, why will they compete? And now Roman Anthony's he's going to be afraid of being traded too. Well, not if he's not a cancer,
Right.
in the locker room, using that as a figure of speech. Not
Mm-hmm.
right. So I think, and by all means, they went on. They they beat the Yankees. They won a close one against Seattle. They're playing right now against Seattle. Let's see how they look. I don't this is a good team. It's been a great offense. The feeling has just been killing us. Um let's see what these new arms what they do. Let's see if they can help out. I don't think I don't think I that missing out on his production, while it was great, you cannot dismiss that. He's
Mm-hmm.
going to be an all-star for a reason. But I don't think that it's going to be as missed as much as people are saying. Certainly not the personality. And let's also not forget, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Bregman's on his way back here shortly.
Right. Now, I want to talk about his contract real quick. So,
Hmm.
starting in 2026, Rafael Devers is going to be 29 years old, and that is the last year to where they're going to pay him under 30 million, and it's at 29.5. So it's barely under 30. And then for his age 30 through 36 season, they're going to pay him over $30 million a year. So the Giants gave up four prospects and essentially 254.5 million in future years, plus they have to pay the rest of the 29.5 million that he is owed this season. So again, well over 200, and we'll say probably 265 million between all of that. And you're paying him until age 36. I don't know how good Rafael Devers is going to be at 36. I don't know how good he's going to be at 34. We never know how these players are going to age. Uh, so,
Hmm.
so I don't know. It's going to be. It was like I remember when the Angels signed Albert Pujols, and everybody was just ecstatic. They're like, "Oh, he's going to be the greatest thing. He's going to take us to the World Series, and he's going to do all of these things for us." And then he got old. Rafael Devers might get old too, and he's gonna be a ton of money for them as well. So I'm gonna put this last comment up here from JC, and then we're gonna move on from the Rafael Devers thing, and we are going to go to our NFL four down territory. All right, so let's do. You know what? Let's do a little bit of music, right? as we switch into NFL 4-down territory. The first thing I want to mention is something I saw while I was researching this today. Today is an anniversary, and I didn't know this until I was doing some research. It's a football anniversary today. 31 years ago today. I know, poor Gabriel over here is like 31 years ago. I wouldn't even thought of yet. 31. But 31 years ago today, it was a very infamous day because it was the O.J. Simpson Broncos case 31 years ago today. So I thought that was interesting. We're going to bring that up as we jump in here to 4-down territory. So I'm going to look at two quarterbacks here, sir. Two young quarterbacks. And I'm going to ask you, who do you think will have the more productive season? J.J. McCarthy or Cam Ward?
I don't know how to answer this question without sounding like I don't like a person. And I don't have anything against JJ McCarthy, but he was a good college quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, so was
there
Cam
can
Ward.
be a yes. But more on that distinction here in a moment. There can be a very big difference between someone who was a good college quarterback and then someone who really doesn't belong in the NFL. I don't know what Cam Ward will look like in the NFL. We'll see. But for sure, I don't have as many red flags with Cam Ward as I do JJ McCarthy. A lot of people are hyping up some of the training camp footage from Minnesota, and I guess you're entitled to do so. I'll just say it's got to be a little concerning when you look at that Michigan offense that they ran. It's got to be a little concerning when he's struggling to complete passes, in front of the plant in a building. And it's got to be a little bit concerning when you just see in general what his skill sets are. If the NFL had a premium on wildcat type quarterbacks, then maybe you're okay. Then maybe you're like, okay, yeah, we nailed it with the draft. But I'm very concerned. And so with Cam Ward, my problem or my concern with him is his improvisational stuff potentially leading him into trouble, and his not staying in the pocket when he maybe should, also leading him into sacks, into a different form of trouble. So that would be my two big question marks with Cam Ward. But that's something where I feel better about having to deal with / coach around those shortcomings. Still significant, and so we could potentially see both quarterbacks not make it at the NFL. But I'd rather go with those being my issues than with JJ McCarthy, where the question is he playing the right position in the NFL?
That's an interesting take by you. Let me get the. We're not talking about Rafael Devers anymore. Let me get him off the screen. But so yeah, I mean, you've got a quarterback coming back off an injury, and then you've got a quarterback that is a hyped prospect. I think there's more pressure on Cam Ward than what there is JJ. But I also think that it's either JJ or nobody, because I'm not sure who Minnesota is going to turn to if he's bad. Cam Ward is the new guy. They're not going to. I mean, even if he is terrible, they're just going to keep running him out there and see what they've got. So it's going to be an interesting season to look at the two of these guys and see which one performs better. If I had to pick, I'd say Cam, because of what he did in college versus what JJ did in college. But I also think it's going to be an interesting spot because I think Minnesota's a better team around him than what Cam has in Tennessee. So just some interesting dynamics, and I thought I'd bring it up here as we jump into our first question off of NFL 4-down territory. Here's our second one. I have said, and I haven't actually talked to you about it, but I've kept this in reserve for quite a few number of weeks. just waiting to bring this up into a conversation because I like this concept, a 3-year NFL stock. And which NFL team would I choose to get my biggest return in 3 years? I know why you're smiling over there because I know what one of the teams is on this list. And I can't wait for you to pick them because I'm pretty sure you're going to. But I think it's going to be an interesting exercise, maybe not for you as much as it is for our fans out there. So let's put this up here, our 3-year NFL stock. So I'm going to give you 5 teams, sir. And if you were buying stock in them today, and then you wanted to sell it in 3 years and get your maximum return for it, which one of these 5 teams would you choose? And here they are: the New England Patriots, the Las Vegas Raiders, the Arizona Cardinals, the Cleveland Browns, or the Chicago Bears. And I'll give you these again, mostly for our fans at home, not for you, because like I said, I'm pretty sure which team you're going to choose. But let's go Patriots, Las Vegas and the Raiders, the Cardinals in Arizona, the Browns in Cleveland, and the Bears in Chicago. Which team, Gabriel, are you going to choose?
Let's start with number 3. Las Vegas Raiders. I don't know if you know this, and maybe our fans, they may or may not know this, but they have Tom Brady in the building. Thomas Edward Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time. If anyone's going to help bring back winning, it's going to be the GOAT. And while he's not going to be the coach forever, they have the best stopgap measure in Coach Pete Carroll. He knows what he's doing. He's flying around wrestling players during OTAs at age 73, or I believe he's in his I believe he's at 73 now. If not, I can be fact checked there. That's fine.
Okay.
But he's going to provide a nice solid foundation. He's going to give a nice baseline. He's going to coach up the talent, which is really what the Raiders need the most right now, more than wins and losses at this point. So I really like the overall direction of where the Raiders are, and they're becoming more and more acclimated to their new home.
So are you going to choose the Raiders and not the New England Patriots?
No, that was my number 3.
Oh, pardon me. So,
Yeah.
So that was your number 3. Who's your number 2?
Well, my number 2 has to be Chicago Bears. I'm not sold on Coach Johnson as a head coach yet. That remains to be seen. But so far, so good. I have to say, the staff is looking more buttoned up. The Bears players are even saying, all right, there's been a shift here, and things are running more the way an NFL team should. GM Ryan Poles he's had some misses like anyone else will, but GM Ryan Poles has mostly done what he needs to do in his role, I'd say. And Caleb Williams is both taking accountability for some of what happened last year, but also kind of approaching this upcoming season with a nice sense of confidence. And I expect him to kind of build off last year, which I think people are overplaying and being a little over dramatic in terms of how bad they say it was. Statistically, Caleb Williams did pretty well. And I understand why it maybe doesn't look as glossy, because there were some bad moments, and you can't gloss over that. But we have to also acknowledge it was an awful situation last year that looks to be on the rise. And then last but not least, Michael, they have the Pope on their side. I don't know if you know that, but divine intervention can help in these things.
All right. This is more and more difficult for me. I mean, I started off with these 5 teams, and when I was looking through everything, I was like, okay, Cleveland's got to be the worst one of this bunch, right? That's the definite. You got to put Cleveland at the bottom, right? But you also have to remember, 2 years ago they made the playoffs. And you can't have a successful team without having at least a decent quarterback. And I didn't like what Cleveland did in the beginning as far as putting themselves in that position in the draft. But I don't know. I almost kind of like it now because they've got four guys battling for that quarterback spot, and nothing brings out nothing brings out the best in a person than competition, in my opinion. So
Yeah,
now you've
true.
got four guys competing against each other, and the one that's going to be the number one guy, he might be really good before it's all said and done. So I can't put them at the bottom. I had to revert, and I'm like, okay, well, which one of these teams has really been terrible more than the Browns? And it's Vegas. And I don't like Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll is a very overrated coach. He's getting up there in age, and I don't know. I just can't do it. So I'm going to put Vegas at 5. I'm going to put Cleveland at 4. And this gets really tricky for me because I like Drake May. And if I'm going to say that a team can't do a whole lot without a really good quarterback, well, New England's got one, in my opinion. They've got a good young quarterback. So I'm going to put New England at 3, not because of the quarterback, but because of what they've got around him. And I think it's going to take them a few more years to get there. But that's the reason why I wanted to do this. Look at the screen. It says 3-year NFL stock. So if I can buy low right now on New England, and I think in 3 years they can pay it off for me, yes, I do think that. Now, do I also think that with the Arizona Cardinals? I'm not really buying as low with the Cardinals right now. That's the reason why I put them in this category. I do think they're going to be probably a division winner at least in 3 years, but can they get me to the Super Bowl? I don't know. I like that coaching staff. I like the Trey McBride move. I like that they went all defense in this draft. But can they keep doing the trajectory upward? I think that's going to be hard. So I'm actually going to put New England just a hair above Arizona. But I like a lot of what you just said about the Chicago Bears, and that's why I'm going to put them at number 1. And then we'll go back to you as far as your top team. I'm going to put the Bears at number 1 because I like Caleb Williams. I think he's probably the best quarterback in this group. Now, again, Drake May's right there, and he may prove me wrong before this is all said and done because it's 3 years down the road, and it's pretty hard to predict what a team's going to do 3 years down the road. But if I like what they're doing around him, I like the draft picks, and I do like what you said. And I understand their GM has made a few misses, but every GM makes misses. Not everybody's going to get every pick right. So I'm going to put the Bears, for me, that's the stock that I would buy right now because I think they're the lowest one where I wouldn't have to pay a lot of money for it. And even if they do just win the division or get into the wild card spot, I could then sell it in 3 years, and I think I would make some money off of it. Maybe not a ton, but I think I'm going to make at least some. So I guess I'll put it to you this way. I think the Bears are the safe bet here. If I'm trying to go in 3 years, I want to make a ton of money, and I'm going to cross my fingers in my 401k and just go for the gusto for 3 years, then I'm going New England. But if I'm going for a safer bet, I'm going to go for the Bears. So what do you think about safer bet and trying to make the most amount of money from this?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And if you're going to buy on the Bears, then this is the time to do it because of that potential jump. Yeah, it's the price is going to be at its lowest right now. Where with these other teams, despite the Patriots, for example, picking, the top 4 pick, we all saw they very nearly had the number 1 pick. So their stock can very much still very easily go down.
All right, so we're going to do 2 more things here in our NFL 4-down territory. We're going to pick the division winners in the East. We're going to do AFC East, NFC East, and then we're going to tell you so MGM has said, hey, these guys are 7.5 win teams this year. And then myself and Gabriel are going to go over or under 7.5 wins on the following 4 teams. and that will be Atlanta, Dallas, Indianapolis, and Jacksonville. So you guys can be thinking about that as we get to that point in our show here, the Sportz Truth. Before we do that, Gabriel, where can they find you at on X? I know you've got 2 different accounts, man. Tell us about both.
Yes, we're at the at Sports Pulse 100 for my account. That's more of a collaborative account, trying to meet other people in the space, work with others, that kind of thing. And then at Big Ten Gabriel, that's my personal account there. If you like Big Ten propaganda, that might be the place for you.
All right. And we're going to start getting into the college football a little bit here. NBA will start to fade away for us, and then we'll jump more into college football here in the coming weeks. So, Gabriel, we're going to look at 2 divisions. We're going to look at 2 divisions every week here for the next few weeks, and we're going to try to pick the division winners. So let's pick the division winners in the AFC East. Buffalo, Miami, New England, and the Jets. So again, it's Buffalo, Miami, New England, Jets. I don't care about where they rank. I just want you to tell me who's going to win that division.
Buffalo.
It's not really much of a thought process, is it? I mean, I can't believe you took that long.
No, not this one.
Yeah, this one's not hard at all. So yeah, I do believe Buffalo is going to be in that division, and they're going to be the stalwart there and come out on top. In fact, I would say that Miami, New England, and New York probably won't even be within 3 games of them when the whole thing is said and done. So this one might be the most easiest that we're going to choose. Now, I kind of started this off with the cupcake one here. Let's go NFC East, and that would be Dallas, the Giants, Philadelphia, and Washington. So a little bit more of an intrigue here. Do you think there's any chance that, we'll say the Giants, is there any chance whatsoever that the Giants can win this division?
No.
No. All right. So
And
how
Brian
about
Daboll's
Dallas?
gonna
Is there? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, sir. You were saying, and I cut you off.
Oh no, my fault. I was just gonna say I think Brian Daboll's gonna be on his way out.
Okay. And yeah, I can see that more than I can see them winning a division at least. So now you've got a new coach in Dallas. You've got the quarterback coming back. You've got a little bit of a controversy with oh shoot, I just lost his name. Their big defensive guy, who they will not sign to a contract extension, who came out today and said that Micah Parsons, thank you, who came out today and basically said, if they don't want to sign me to a big extension today, it's going to cost them in the future. So I think that was an interesting quote from him. So now, what about Dallas? Do you give them much of a chance to win this division?
No, no, not. Listen. The Dallas Cowboys weren't particularly competitive in terms of much of anything last year. Certainly not to win the division. And they haven't done anything this offseason where you say, "Oh yes, they've done X, so now they can reach this site." That hasn't happened, and there's still the regular drama surrounding this team. No, they're not winning the division.
Well, I mean, they did get Pickens from the Steelers, and they're going to get Dak back for hopefully the entire season. Those 2 factors don't give you any qualm to put them into the top spot in that division? I think you're frozen again, sir, but that's okay. I love the face you're frozen on, by the way. So I'm gonna tell you no. I don't think Dallas is going to win this division. I do think they're going to be a little more competitive than what some people think they're going to be. And I do this kind of every year. I think maybe Dallas can either cause Philadelphia or Washington to lose the division. You know, maybe they'll win a game that they shouldn't against them, or they'll knock them out or something like that, but I'm not sure if they can win the division. So then if that's the case, then I think both of us would think that It's an MVP moment for you, sir. So, I think with that being said, we're both going to agree that it's either going to be Philadelphia or Washington that win this division. Philadelphia, the team to win all the way last year and got to the Super Bowl. Washington, kind of the surprise team that snuck up on some people. So I'll ask it to you this way: do you think Washington is going to continue to sneak up on people, or are other teams going to be ready for Washington, and that's what's going to keep them out of the top spot in the NFC East?
Allow me a moment to answer
Go
this
ahead.
question, please.
All right.
No, they will not sneak up on people. And it won't matter because this team is good, this team is ready, and they're going to topple, they're going to snatch away the NFC East title from the undeserving Philadelphia Eagles, and it's going to be a glorious moment for all of America.
Wow. So you are picking the Washington Commanders, or as Cheese would call them, the Washington Redskins, still, to win this division and knock off the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles.
And I'll admit this isn't based off of much X's and O's, but more or less just spite.
Okay. Well, I mean, at least you can admit to the fact that it's spite for you. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Um, but you know what? I kind of agree with you. I'm going to go this way a little bit because I think it's really hard to repeat.
Okay.
Right? It's really hard to be really good 2 years in a row. I mean, when the Patriots did their dynasty, that was, because you're the Patriots fan, how difficult that was. How everybody was like, oh no, they can't do it again, and then they did it again, and then you're like, nope, there's no way in the world they can do it again, and then they did it again, right? So it is really, really hard for Philadelphia to do this, and I mean, I know they have the tush push thing, which is probably one of their biggest weapons that they have. But now it's year 3 or 4. Aren't people going to figure out how to defend this? Aren't people going to, or is it going to be where other teams just start, you know what, we can't beat them, we may as well join them, and we're going to start doing the same thing. So I think that might come into play a little bit because Buffalo seems to be wanting to do that. Washington seems to be wanting to do that. So I think this will be an interesting exercise to see if Philadelphia can repeat. I think Philadelphia will be good, and they will probably make the playoffs. But can they win the division? I don't know. I think I'm going to give this to Washington as the new up-and-coming team. And then I think this division is going to get really interesting because I do think Dallas will continue to add, and then the poor New York Giants will be down there for all those teams to beat up on for the next 3 years. So as Dallas gets better, as Washington gets better, and as Philly kind of stays the same, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top over the next 2 or 3 years. All right. Last thing we're going to do here in NFL 4-down territory, and then we're going to go to our NBA talk where we're going to do LeBron, we're going to do KD, we're going to do the finals and things of that nature with the NBA here in just a couple moments. But let's do our last thing in our NFL 4-down territory, and that is looking at MGM Sportsbook. Now, again, I say this every week. They're not paying us. They're not giving us any money, nothing like that. I just want to be consistent and look at the same lines every single week. So that's the one I chose, MGM Sportsbook. So this is the number of total wins for the upcoming season by team. We have broken it down by, we started off with 11.5, then 10.5, 9.5, 8.5, and now we're down to the 7.5 win teams. And Sportsbook says that there are 4 of them. So let me give you these 4, and then we will decide exactly what we want to give them here. So it's the NFL over and under 7.5 wins. Here is your first team, Gabe. The Atlanta Falcons. Will they go over or under 7.5?
I am not at all a believer in the Atlanta Falcons. I wish them the best. There are players on that team that I root for. Drake London. He's a pretty nice player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Penix Jr., I don't have anything against him. By all accounts, seems to conduct himself well and had a really nice career at Washington and is doing well considering everything that went into his eventual becoming the starter at Atlanta, right? He had to ride a little early adversity, so I'm certainly rooting for him. For me, this is just me personally. Atlanta is in the category of I'll have to see it before I believe it. I just can't project. I can't make a prediction of their being good because they seem to always find a way really to just get in their own way. And so I understand that to an extent it's a new day. It's a new day and age in Atlanta. And again, they do have some good pieces. Bijan Robinson, also a good player. But I'll just be a little hard pressed to go with anything other than the under.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you here. I think Atlanta, like you just said, Atlanta has some great individual talent, but I don't know if they have a great collective talent. So I mean, I'm not gonna drag this out a little bit. I think you made some great points on Atlanta already, and I'll agree with you. I will say under 7.5 wins as well. I think this one is the most intriguing of the four. The Dallas Cowboys at 7.5 wins.
I mean, I kind of let the cart before the horse on this one. I'm not too sold on a wide receiver acquisition in general. There are always exceptions to every rule, but if that's your big acquisition of the year, I feel like we've seen this story with Dallas especially, but in general, we've seen this story throughout the NFL. You bring in a wide receiver, and then we act shocked when that doesn't solve all the issues. There's too much noise in Dallas compared to where they actually are as a team. And Dak Prescott, he's someone who I do think gets a little too much flack compared to all of the dysfunction that he's forced to overcome on a yearly basis. And you also can't dismiss he is playing through a lot of injuries. So not that all players to an extent are, but he's just somewhere he does try to gut it out. So in that regard, I do have an admiration for Dak Prescott. I gotta go under here, Michael. We may disagree here, but if it's me placing my money, I'm going with the under.
I have a really hard time with this one. I don't want to upset Cowboy Reggie, and I don't want to alienate our guys over at Sons of Star podcast. 7.5 out of 17 games is not that many as far as that part goes. And this is yes. I'm going to skip your comment for the first comment for a second, Jordan, but the organization is probably in chaos. And I think that's what both of our points is. Yeah, it's fun times for the rest of us, right? We kind of like to see Dallas in chaos. I 100% get that too. Jordan says the Cowboys are under. Man, I don't want to do a cop-out thing here, but I really think that they are right where they need to be. I mean, man, if I was a betting guy, I don't think I'd take the over or the under here. I think 7.5 is like right where they need to be. I would force you to take it over or an under, so I'm going to force myself to take one. I mean, you got 2 wins of the Giants. They're pretty good at home. You know what? I'm gonna take the over on Dallas this year. Not by much, but I am going to take the over on them with the 7.5 wins. We got 2 more teams left: Indianapolis and Jacksonville. Let's go. You know what? Let's go Jacksonville next because I think that's the easier team to look at right at the moment, and we'll save Indy for the end for us. What do you think about Jacksonville? 7.5 wins for the upcoming season, over or under, again, for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Did Saxonville make a return that I was unaware of? I don't understand why this is at 7.5. This is the easiest under of all time, ladies and gentlemen. The under.
So you don't think they have any talent whatsoever?
I mean, they have talent. Unfortunately, every team in the NFL has talent. That's what you do with the talent. That's the key part. I understand Mr. Peterson won a Super Bowl once upon a time. Uh, if he is a good coach or isn't a good coach, he's certainly not the right coach for this cluster mess of a situation as well. I I'm going with the under.
Okay. I mean, I got to go with you here. I can't see them going over 7.5 wins. But I also think it's going to be something to monitor with Trevor
Okay.
Lawrence this season. This is, I mean, so I can tell you that we're going to get into this conversation probably next week or the week after. The Trevor Lawrence, the Justin Herberts, there are some quarterbacks in this league who need to become next step quarterbacks. And I really think if Trevor Lawrence has another terrible season, Jacksonville's going to be stuck with a really, really hard decision as far as
Yes.
do they continue to ride with him or what's going to happen here. So I almost wish they go over the 7.5 wins because I don't want to see more chaos in Jacksonville, but I don't think he's going to, and I think this team is just going to continue to go down this really bad spiral. And the best thing about them is going to be when they play overseas. Yeah, we got a couple things here. Lawrence is so mid. He's so average. Yes, but he needs to take that next step. And if he does, then Jacksonville probably goes over these 7.5 wins. But if he doesn't, and I don't think that he will, they're going to be under somewhere. So if I'm a betting guy, I'm going to take the under 7.5. Last one, and our last thing in our NFL 4-down territory here, Gabriel, is the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I think they're a pretty interesting talk here for a moment, and mostly because of their quarterback and their quarterback play. So where do you see the Indianapolis Colts? Over or under 7.5?
I've been on the under here, but this will be my first over. I don't think that this number should be at 7.5. You made the point in terms of 7 out of 17 that 7.5 isn't too bad. That's how I view it for this Colts team.
Okay.
I mean, I think they'll be decently competitive, even against the better teams. And I don't think they'll make the playoffs, me personally. But if they were to, I like this roster overall, where I wouldn't be shocked. So that's why I'm going with the over. Pardon me. Again, I think they're going to lie between 8 wins and a playoff team. I think they'll be in that little middle ground somewhere. But if they were to creep over, I'd say, well, yeah, that's why you take the over, Michael.
Yeah, I mean, this is. And when I first looked at all these teams, I was like, oh, under, right? And then I started really I really did. And then I started kind of researching them and looking at different individual players. And then I was looking at matchups and I looked at their schedules. And if there's a team on this list that I would choose to go over the 7.5, I'm with you. I think it's the Indianapolis Colts. First looking at this, I said, oh, no, it's Dallas. Dallas would be the one. And I still think they're going to go over. But I think the Colts have the potential to do what the Commanders did last year, which is surprise some people, sneak up on some people. And as long as they get good quarterback play, I believe they'll go over 7.5. So that's kind of where we're at right at the moment with them. And where will they go and where will they not go? But right now, we're going to focus on the NBA and our NBA 4-point play. All right, Gabriel. So we're going to do LeBron James first, then we're going to move to Kevin Durant. We're going to talk about the finals, and then we're going to wrap it up with a little bit of a circle the wagons kind of question and talk about all of that stuff all at the same time here on our NBA 4-point play. So let's get to a couple of the comments that I see are up here. No, I'm not expecting good quarterback play from Daniel Jones. If the Indianapolis Colts have to go to Daniel Jones, I would think it's probably going to be the under. And then I don't know what that's even referencing. So, okay, we'll get to your other comment in a moment because we're going to do LeBron first. Gabriel, will LeBron James play season number 23 for, are you ready? I mean, when I saw this number, I had to do a double take. It's like, really? So if he plays year 23, he will get $52.2 million from the Lakers. Will he play season 23 for $52.2 million?
There's so much we can get into this,
Right?
Absolutely ridiculous. But to answer your question directly, he will, and he spoke on this aspect in terms of just playing. Forget about the contract for a half second, but he spoke on how his kids, Bronny and Bryce James, they are, you know, I mentioned them. I don't know the daughter's name, but I mentioned them because they're the basketball players in the family, and they're getting, obviously Bronny's on the team, and Bryce is, he's going to be at Ohio State, and they're getting in the swing of really being really truly in basketball, and it's kind of helping to energize LeBron, and they're encouraging him. They're telling their father, keep playing, keep playing. We want you to play. We love this. And the quote was they keep saying they want me to keep pursuing my dreams because of how he's been there for them. I used a lot of pronouns in that. I hope that's okay. But I say that to say that for some athletes, the family part is why they retire. That's not at all the case here. And if anything, the family is encouraging and is almost fueling him a little further to continue playing. And where he would stack, by all means, he's still a starter in the NBA. I don't know where you would have him in terms of top 15, top 20 player in the league. Certainly is a good starting option. The question becomes how much control, how much should he be paid, and what the rest of the team should then look like. That's an entirely different conversation. But just sticking with should he play? Yes.
All right. So then, is there any man worth $52 million for a season? Is the obvious question to me, right? But I want to phrase it a little different to you. And I want to say, is he worth $52 million to the Lakers?
Ooh, I like that. I'm going to say maybe because it's the Lakers, and we all know that that's a franchise that is kind of clinging on to the Showtime Lakers magic.
Mm-hmm.
And then they still have the memory of Kobe Bryant near and dear to their hearts. So I say that to say, right, big stars, Los Angeles, that's what the franchise prioritizes. So could you hand over the keys entirely to Luka Doncic if LeBron James retires? Yes, certainly in a basketball aspect. It wouldn't have the same amount of gravity. It wouldn't have the same marketing impact. And so that number 50 million plus, if you say it for anyone else, the answer is almost certainly hell no. No way, Jose.
Right.
But for the Lakers, because you phrased it like that, I'm gonna have to give a solid maybe.
Yeah, I mean, for everything that you just said, that was the points, that I was going to kind of bring up if you did not. But yeah, the jerseys, the star power, getting everybody to come see them, getting everybody to tune in on NBA TV, getting everybody's attention. So yeah, is he worth that to the Lakers? Was the way I wanted to phrase the question. And I think he probably is. As much as I want to go no,
Hmm.
probably is, right? Or at least close. So here's another question for the LeBron and the Lakers. If you get a full season of James and Luca, where does that put the Lakers in the Western Conference title picture? I mean, are they top five? Are they 5 to 10? Are they top three? Do you've got OKC, you've got the Minnesota Timberwolves, you've got and you know what? I want to. Well, that is a great point, Jordan. You've had some really good takes today, buddy. I'll put that up there, man. You're really doing good today. The potential retirement tour. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Will that jump into that 53 million? Sure, it will, because everybody's going to want to come out and see LeBron for the last time. Uh,
Hmm.
so so yeah, that has a really good effect on it as well. Thanks, Jordan. That's a really great point by you. And the Lakers are in the picture, but need a center. Yeah, yeah, okay, but they had to give up their center to get Luka, so you've got to give up something to get something. Where one full season, LeBron and Luka, where are you going to put them in the Western Conference at as far as ranking them right now?
I might put them top five, but that's because I would put them five, and that doesn't put you in Western Conference title contention. Not in the West. The top of the West is pretty good. So yeah, they're still not going to be better than OKC. They're still not going to be better than Minnesota. And it's and there's always there are always now the granted the Grizzlies are appearing to be sellers, and I would have liked them if they were healthy to maybe do something interesting. But regardless, you have the issue of LeBron. I still think he's a starter in this league, right? I know that's not saying anything shocking or outlandish. I still think
Mm-hmm.
he's a starter in this league. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I don't know. He can't be the best player on your team. And if you have Luka Doncic as the best player, fine. Either way, you have two players, LeBron because of where he's at in his career, and Luka Doncic because that's just not what he does. Where you have two gaping holes on the defense now. You have LeBron who's still he is trying to play more off ball, but he still wants to run the show for enough of it. Doncic also needs the ball in his hands, so you have to have really a 3 and D specialist surrounded with 3 and D specialists. And then the front court, they need more than just a center. They need a really good power forward too, who's going to be defensive minded and then can produce in spot touches. That's just going to be very hard to find.
So I didn't
Plus,
think
when you
about
take
this
into
until. No, go ahead, sir. I'm sorry.
oh, I was you got me going, Michael. Then when you take into consideration the cap situation with what you're paying Luca
Yeah.
and what you're paying Doncic, what are you left with? I don't. The Lakers were very clearly they're not at the level of the top teams in the Western Conference, and I don't think they have enough wiggle room to close that gap. I just don't.
Do you think maybe they can go to a couple of these defensive-minded players in the NBA, especially if LeBron? This is not in our notes, but I'm kind of building on what Jordan
Yeah.
said a minute ago. If LeBron comes out and says, "Okay, this is it, 23's it, I'm done. I want one more run. I want to see if Luka and I can do it together." Do you think maybe they could get a few people to come over to the Lakers and wear the gold and purple and say, "Yeah, I played with LeBron for his final year in the NBA, and we made a run." Do you think they can convince people to maybe take less money to play on the same floor as LeBron for his final year in the NBA?
I don't think so. I don't think you would get the needed caliber type of player to do that. You could maybe get someone like a Clay Thompson, a Draymond Green,
Hmm.
but though, and by that I mean, players that were good but are clearly past their prime. Someone who's at the tail end of their career as well. would maybe be willing to do that. But I can't see a Giannis doing that, for example.
Right. Well, but most of those people at the end of their career, they look at it, I think, as, I want to get paid one more time, and I think the pay is pretty as a motivating factor for them, not just
Hmm.
who do I get to play with or do I have a chance. I think most of those
Hmm.
guys have done enough in the NBA where they're pretty happy with their careers. They're just trying to get a little bit more money before they ride off into the sunset. So, that's kind of why I brought the question up, because I'm not sure, kind of like what you said. I don't know if they're going to get that player who is going to give them what they need just because they're the
Right.
Draymond Greens of the world. They're past their prime and they want one more shot.
Right. No, I agree.
Okay. All right. Cool. Here we go. I got a new guy up here. Roger Raja says LeBron will keep playing until they name him the owner of the Las Vegas franchise. That's funny. I love that, Roger. That's a good. That's good. Let's move on to Kevin Durant for a moment.
Mhm.
Another guy that's really making some headlines. Even though, again, not in our notes here, but I want to ask you this real quick before we
Yeah,
start diving. So you've got LeBron, you've got Kevin Durant. Are they outshining the NBA Finals right now?
a little bit. I mean, you would hardly know that the finals is on. The last series that determines who we crown as the NBA champion is going on.
Right? The NBA has never. This is
And
one of the things that football
here
does
we are.
really well.
Right, all the talk, all the
I don't know if it's my internet today, if it's you today. I don't know. Um, you keep freezing on us, and then I think you're done talking because your face is frozen, and then I keep interrupting you. It's yeah, I don't know what's going on here today, but we've never had this problem before, so I'm not sure what's going. Is there bad weather up
yeah,
there in New
and
York
so
today, buddy?
with that in mind, you know, the Lakers are just in this spot. Are they going to be better than Houston next year? No. Are they going to be better than
All right, so now we have completely lost our buddy, and I'll talk here for a second until we get him back, because I'm sure we're going to get him back. We got Roger talking here, saying LeBron tweet of where he cryptically says he might retire right before Game 6. And then you've got Jordan here. No LeBron, no ESPN attention. Yes, I agree with all of that. We're asking, will LeBron play season number 23? I do believe that he will. I do believe that he will team with Luka one last time, as I see Gabriel popping back down here. Let's add him back up to the stage. There we go. We got our buddy back. So there is Gabriel. Maybe I don't know what's going on over there, but your camera already looks a lot better than what it did a few moments ago. So hopefully you'll be able to stick with us the entire time. You were making a point about them, and I heard you say something about OKC, and then you started fading away, and I don't know what you said from there.
I think it was the LeBron
And
media
if
machine
people don't know
censoring
it,
me.
by the way, we're
We
live.
are.
That's
We
yes,
are.
we are live. That's why we're having some of these technical difficulties right at the moment. But obviously we're live, or we'd be editing all this out, right? So you
Yeah.
can, and everybody knows that we are live. All right, go ahead, Gabriel.
Oh, that's head of the year.
Yes.
Yeah. I liked what you said about are they outshining? Yes, they are. That's what all the talk is. And for all of the discussions about, the NBA product not being what it once was, it doesn't matter what the perception of the games are. People love a good NBA trade rumor and a good NBA trade destination end result. So for sure I like what you said there, but the Lakers they need a lot of help, and I don't think it's coming, Michael.
Okay. So then let's focus on KD for a moment before we talk about the finals here. Which is the better Kevin Durant landing spot for the NBA? Not which one's better for Kevin Durant, or not which one's better
Okay.
for the team that he lands with, right? Which one is better for the NBA? And I'll give you four choices: San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Miami. So I'll give them to you again. All right, you look like you're concentrating really, really hard there. So San Antonio, Oklahoma City, Minnesota, or Miami. Which one of those destinations is best for the NBA?
I'll make the argument for the Miami Heat
Okay.
because that's a team that has a very high floor. You have Coach Eric Spoelstra over there, and you would get someone in Kevin Durant where yeah, the ball needs to go through his hands a lot, but he's also a willing passer. Um, quiet personality compared to what they just endured with Jimmy Butler, and it would help, to make it so that the Heat doesn't have to be a team where their hat is only on being the little engine that could. They they would probably in the East be a playoff team, and I think that's what a comfortable playoff team, not a team where it's like, okay, we made it through the play in, or we just barely, scraped and clawed to the 16, a comfortable playoff team, so a relevant, good team throughout the entirety of the regular season. And San Antonio, they already have Wemby, so that's whether they do good or bad. There's going to be attention on San Antonio, so that doesn't them adding KD that doesn't help the NBA further in that regard. Minnesota, they're already good and they have Ant. That's fine. And then OKC, they may be good, Michael. I don't know if you know this, but they may already be good. So that's why
Maybe.
for me, what would move the needle the most for the NBA would be a move to Miami.
All right. I like how you broke that down. You sold that to me because I am not thinking Miami. I agree with what you said on two of the teams by far, which is OKC's good. They don't need Kevin Durant. That doesn't
Mhm,
move the needle for the NBA at all.
mhm,
And I agree with that. San Antonio would be interesting, but they've already, you said it, they've already got Wemby. They're going to get the number 2 pick in the draft. So they're going to have a pretty good young nucleus. I could see where there's interest from the Spurs in Kevin Durant, but I don't know if that moves the needle for the NBA necessarily. I really like what you're saying about Miami, though. You're convincing me here because I didn't think Miami at all when I wrote this question out a few hours ago. I think I think you're right, but it's what I personally want to see. I know that Ant has talked about before that Kevin Durant is his mentor. Kevin Durant's the person that he
mhm.
has looked up to, and I would like to see Kevin Durant go to Minnesota and be with Ant and push that team over the top. We've already talked about the OKCs. We've already talked about 3 or 4 other teams in the Western Conference that are really, really good. Man, if you could put Kevin Durant over there in Minnesota, you know how it would be a dogfight in the West. And I think people would actually stay up and watch a lot of these Western Conference games
Mhm.
from the East Coast if you would put Kevin Durant over there with Minnesota and just let them battle out everybody else in the Western Conference. So that was kind of where my thinking was as far as what's best for the NBA. But you made a really good point for Miami too. So I would go with one of those two destinations. Here's a true fact. It was reported today by Shamshirani that Tyrese Halliburton is going to get an MRI on his calf. They're already saying the calf strain more than likely, but when you say calf strain, it freaks people out, and they're just like, "Oh gosh, what's going to happen here? Is he going to play?" And of course, I'm sure the NBA is kind of like, "Okay, wait, don't say calf strain because we're already got poor ratings as it is, and if you say Tyrese can't play, then oh my gosh, there's going to be 8 people watching these finals, because we all know OKC is going to win, right?" So, can Indiana win without Halliburton?
Allow me to go there for a moment.
Okay. I want you to because I'm not going to be able to. I'm not a big NBA connoisseur like you are, sir. So I will turn the floor over to you and you tell us what your feeling is on this question, which is can Indiana win without Halliburton?
We saw just now in game 5 that the Pacers looked pretty good, and they did a large part of their comeback with Halliburton on the bench. Now, the concern, of course, is someone then stepping up into the starter role, and then people who are playing reserve minutes getting an uptick, and does that production carry over? And in general, the reason why you aren't a starter is for a reason, and so typically that production does not carry over, but it doesn't have to for all but one game. It's a one game sample size and then winner take all in a potential game 7.
Mhm.
So there's a possibility of that, but more importantly, Tyrese Halliburton, he did well in terms of kind of initiating the offense and getting everyone involved. Uh, but it also looked like a struggle fest for him out there. And he was, I don't want to say that the calf injury made this happen by any stretch. He was careless with the basketball, really bad live ball turnovers that resulted in open transition points. So to an extent, it's like, well, if and I think that's more mental of I have to now force something and I'm not at 100%, so I'm going to try to make something happen. That's what I think it has more to do with than strictly the mechanics. So I'm saying all of this to kind of suggest that listen, by all means, OKC's probably going to win it in game 6, fine. But Indiana's best chance, unless Halliburton somehow finds a treatment, is able to roll it out, find some magical ointment from the Amazon forest, whatever you may have. But if we get the same version of Halliburton that we saw in game 5, Indiana's best chance may very well be going out there with the rest of this overall pretty good cast and not trying to work around we're not even going to try that one. An injury ridden
Right?
Halliburton.
That's why I keep telling you stop using big words, man. I keep trying to tell you. You just won't listen. All right, so let's look at the betting line for this for just a moment because the betting line has really changed. So the Thunder opened as a minus 800, and they're now a minus 2,500. They're a minus 2,500. Does the money making possibility make you want to take a chance on the Indiana Pacers? They're minus 2,500.
Yeah, you can sprinkle a little bit on the underdog and hope to make a little bit of coin, can't you?
Yes, you really can. And you know, I wonder if the NBA is kind of fueling this a little bit. Um, I mean, I've always thought that the Vegas and the Atlantic cities and all of this work with a lot of these sports teams, and they do some things to kind of drum up interest. But you know, fantasy sports makes people watch, right? You know, it's a new
Yeah.
avenue that makes people watch what's going on, and I think the
Yes.
gambling aspect is as well. So if I put I don't know if I put $10 down on the Indiana Pacers, and I'm not a gambling guy, maybe you can tell me what that means. If I put $10 down on the Pacers and the Pacers win at minus 2,500, I don't know how much I'm going to get in return, but I know it's a good chunk of change. Uh,
Yeah.
so does that keep me wanting to watch the NBA finals because I've got money on the game?
Oh, that's why I think a big part of why the sports leagues have embraced betting. Not only that, maybe you say, okay, Indiana can't win it, but whatever the spread is, I bet you, and I don't know, I'm just guessing. I bet you it's around 15.5 points, meaning if that's what the line is at, meaning if Indiana loses by 15 or less, then you're good.
Mhm.
That can always be something that stays in play and is something that keeps you glued. Okay, Oklahoma, they got out to a big lead. But my bet's still alive. They can Indiana can still lose by just enough, and that's certainly something that'll keep people engaged either way. So, for sure, what you're saying is 1,000% valid.
All right, last question of the night, sir. We're going to wrap it up with this. Once again, you're listening to the Sportz Truth here with myself, Mike Valentine, and of course, you've got Gabriel Esparza over there on the other side with his plain brown hat today. Is that what brown? Is that what color that thing is? I mean, that's you ain't got no design on it. I can't. Am I just not seeing it? Is it? Well, what is the deal with the plain brown today?
It's opposite of your hat.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, you gotta pull this back up here for a second. You know what? Let's do the last question with the hat on. How about that? give me, indulge me for 30 seconds. We'll put this hat back on. I can't hear a word, so I don't know how this is all coming through, but fantastic gift that I was given for my birthday today. We'll put that thing right up there on top of the head. We'll put the headset back on. We'll cover up half my ugly face, and we'll just let you read the hat, right? Because we are live. And here's the final question of the night. In fact, I'm so ugly. I'm just going to put my head down and let you just see the hat, okay? So, which NBA event has your most interest right now? Is it the actual finals? Is it the upcoming NBA draft? Or is it the Kevin Durant trade talk? Which one has the majority of your interest today in the NBA?
For me personally, it's still the NBA Finals. I want to see if this little engine that can. I've been rooting for Indiana, and I've made the case as to why they can pull it off, and they let an opportunity escape to go up in the series big time, and it slipped away. By all means, in Game 5, it looked like they were possibly going to make something happen. And Oklahoma City, you have to give them credit. They made the plays and they increased their lead, and they put that game away. So I kind of want to see, especially if Tyrese Halliburton can't go, can this group, can this collective overall team do it? I just want to see it happen.
All right. So I don't know. I'm not as big as in the NBA, and Kevin Durant's here in Phoenix with me, so I'm kind of more looking at that, even though I'm really tired of hearing about it already. I really am. It's all this. It's all the sports talks people want to talk about here in this town right at the moment. So I'm with that. Yeah, you can be petty, buddy. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You can be petty. Yeah. So we'll get rid of that. We'll bring our two beautiful faces back up here, this sexy hat and everything else. So just wait. We can program anything on this hat you want. So, for those of you, we got some sponsorships out there, and it's like, man, I can have my sponsorship on that hat and just have my name go across. Oh yeah, you can have all kinds of stuff on this one. But right at the moment, I want you to understand that we're live and living color. Just a little bit over 2 hours. We still climbing as far as fans go, and we certainly appreciate it as we start to kind of wrap up the show here. We appreciate each and every one of you. Gabriel, tell us one more time, where can they get you at on your two social media accounts, sir?
Yes. At Big Ten Gabriel, at Sports Pulse 100, pardon me. And then go check out the YouTube at the 643 and Out Pod. That is the YouTube channel.
Right. That's the same as the Twitter handle. It's all the same. So please go check that out. And then we are also on Facebook as well. Same handle. Go over to Facebook if you're a Facebook person. This will be put up there on a tape delay on Facebook here in just a little bit when we get done. Whatever social media that you like to get. And you know what? If you like another social media and you would like for us to become part of that social media because that's what's best for you, then shoot us over a message. Go over to at the 643 and Out Pod on our X account and tell us what you would like for us to do next as we kind of look through different social medias, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. Gabriel's doing a great job over there on the YouTube channel, putting up some shorts for us for you guys to be able to partake in. And then we're also going to do thinking outside the batter's box, which will be a couple of different things that I'm kind of producing and putting up there. Shorter versions, not minute versions, but not long things either. 5 to 7 minutes or so. I kept saying I'm going to do 5 to under, and man, I just can't stop talking. So kind of like I am right now, I just ramble. So anyway, make sure you check out the YouTube channel as well. And that will get you a lot of stuff. We are almost to 7,000 on X, and hopefully by next Tuesday, when we do this show live one more time, that we will be at 7,000 or beyond on our X platform. So we thank you very much. Gabriel, anything you want to add to the end of the Sportz Truth today, sir?
Yes, please, Michael. I would like to add happy birthday to you. Love the hat. Jordan, happy birthday to you. And let's go, Red Sox. Rafael Devers might have had a monster hit at his first game for the Giants that everyone's talking about and tagging us in. But it's fine because we're down, I believe, 8-0 it is now to the Seattle Mariners. So it's fine.
Everything's fine. It's fine. But, we'll go from fine. Hang on. We got a couple more comments I need to get to here. Let's, And then he says the Mets lost and Boston is losing, but you already said. So we got all of that stuff going on. Let's start off with this. As you guys getting ready to leave, and that is correct. We will go to what Gabe was saying, what was fine, and that's the Boston Red Sox. To what is fair, because the only thing that's fair in life is a baseball hit between the third and first base lines. Good afternoon, everyone. And if you didn't notice, we were live 2 hours and 16 minutes and loved every minute of it. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you sticking with us. And we'll see you next Tuesday right here on the Sportz Truth.